What's up, YouTube? This is the Roman Atheist here, Romanist Atheist. We're going to be doing a video on Paul and Morgan again because they're something special. But anyway, this video is about relationship boundaries and kind of goes into depth about their relationship and is supposed to give advice to other Christians. So I want to see where they're going with this because I'm interested. Let's let them go.
Starts like this, and then, and then,
Okay.
It does!
Wow.
You act like I'm just gonna kiss quickly, and it can turn to making out pretty quickly.
Yes, it definitely can, but you didn't need to show them that creepy hand.
Oh,
movement.
well, it was pretty good.
No, that's really creepy. Yeah. I don't know how else to say it, but that's a weird way of looking at it, I guess.
What's up, guys? How you doing? I'm Paul.
I'm Morgan.
And this is the Paul and Morgan, the Paul and Morgan Show. So today's video is part 3 in our series. We are chugging right along. We're talking about our physical boundaries.
Well, hopefully this isn't a surprise to anyone I watch, but I do think it's important for anyone, any relationship, especially in a romantic way, the two people and your partner should set what you're comfortable with and what you're not comfortable with, because you don't want to get past that, because then it can become a very dangerous relationship. And it's good they're talking about this, but I think they're going to take it in a very poor way.
If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe. We make Christian advice videos on life, love, and dating to help you have hope.
And be free.
So click that little button!
Guys, if you haven't watched part 1 and part 2 leading up to part 3, this is kind of a package deal, so we recommend at some point, maybe at the end of this video, you go back and watch those two. Stay up to date.
Yeah, they also at this point have part 4 out, so I'll actually link all 4 of the ones they have out so far in the description. I did a video on part 1, which I'll also have in the description, my video on it, if you want to see that for whatever reason. But besides that, it's they're gonna have their 5th one out at some point, and yeah, and I'm doing the ones where I have objections to what they're saying, and I mean, I have problems with the other ones, but those are more self-explanatory than this video.
Yes. Alright, you guys, so let's talk about the physical boundaries. We've talked about boundaries in relationships before, but this video is going to be just very specific on the physical boundaries that we set in our relationship.
A lot of people are kind of vague when it comes to stuff like this, but we found that it helps to be very specific. So we're gonna just get real with stuff we set. We're gonna be encouraging you guys, not because we're trying to be overbearing. Oh, they're like our parents. No, we believe this stuff.
So many rules.
So many rules. They're all about rules and not about the heart. Guys, God does look at the heart first and foremost. God also is in the practical.
God is in the practical? Where? I'd like to see it. That'd be interesting. Basically what I'm getting at is you gotta show some more, you gotta give some more effort than making some assertions, even if it's about your faith, and most of the people you expect are listening to this believe in your faith. You gotta show it, because the Bible says this is not a good excuse for that, and it shouldn't be, even if you are a Christian.
And there are things that we can just do to set ourselves up for success. That's very biblical as well.
Wow. And if you want to be protecting your heart and keeping a pure, clean heart, then you've got to set boundaries. You've got to set rules.
Well, I guess the next question is, what is a pure heart? Because that word, pure, tends to mean clean. So what do you consider a clean heart? Because from my perspective, a heart is clean if you haven't hurt anyone, I guess. Or really, a pure heart isn't a thing, because that's more stuff about the soul, and the soul has its own inabilities of existence. But basically what I'm getting at here is the statement they just made about, well, Morgan just made about a pure heart and setting up rules and stuff, that again has no direct logic to it without a book from thousands of years ago.
To keep that heart pure, you can't just do whatever the heck you want and think that your heart isn't going to be affected by that. Your mind, your soul, your spirit.
The Apostle Paul said for a reason, flee sexual immorality. He's saying, like, don't mess around with it. Yes, your heart can be good, but if you're not putting things up, if you're not living with wisdom, then you can fall, because we're all human. All right, first off, when do you set physical boundaries?
Ooh, I know. When you talk to your partner and who you want to talk to, and that sexual immorality statement is just as much a comment of sex before marriage as it is to a gay relations. So yeah, that's fun. And I think a lot of this can be targeted to that if you really listen to what they're saying. But no one's surprised by the homophobia of Christian apologists.
At the very beginning.
All right, I don't know if on date number 1 you're still filling it out, still figuring out if you like the person and want to continue to pursue them. I don't know if you need to have the big sit-down conversation. If it feels right, go for it. But I think it's really important when you realize, I like this person, I want to keep pursuing them, then go ahead and establish. Don't wait around.
Yeah, when Paul and I went on our first date, he high-fived me. You all know this. We've talked about it before in several videos.
I did.
He gave me a high five, and I was like,
She thought it was mysteriously charming.
Well, that sounds like a good story. Kind of want to hear that. I don't see why hugging would be bad, because hugging isn't a inherently romantic thing. Like hugging between friends is more common. I don't know if this is a good thing, but I've hugged my friends more than I've hugged anyone I've had a significant relationship with. So, I mean, if that means anything, then I have some apologizing to do. Oh well, it's not like these guys are the moral authority on relationships or anything.
I'm happy with it now. I'm happy that he gave me a high five.
I get it. I mean,
where I was going with that. After about a week of Paul and I texting back and forth and whatnot, it kind of happened on its own where the conversation just came up in a text conversation that we were having, just about like holding hands and full frontal hugs and kissing. I asked him, I was like, well, what are your opinions on this? Because you seem kind of strict.
Yep, that is the best way to learn what you and your partner are comfortable with, is communication. That's what you should do in general when in situations with anyone, with what you're comfortable with. If someone crosses a line, you should let them know. That isn't a reason to be angry or mad at them, but you can communicate with people what your problems, what you're okay with and what you're not okay with. But you also need to understand if someone isn't okay with those boundaries that you set up, shouldn't be mad or surprised if they don't stick around.
And he was like, well, I don't want to hold hands really until like I feel like it's the girl that I could see myself marrying. And I, gonna be honest, thought that was ridiculous. I was like, holding hands? And then he was like, and I don't want to kiss until I'm at least engaged, if not like on the wedding day. And I was like,
You could look at that and be like, wow, he was writing to you that he didn't want to hold hands, that he didn't want to kiss until engagement or even marriage, and be like, okay, he's too over the top. Like, I'm not going to be as strict as him. I guess for myself, I had seen too many well-meaning Christian relationships compromise and fail and ultimately lead to regret and sexual stuff prematurely, and I just didn't want that. So in my mind, I had resolved, I'm not gonna mess around with this. Yeah, when she texted me and she was like, oh wow, I'm really caught off guard by how specific and strict you're being, I just kind of articulated as best I could, here's why I'm doing that, and I really strongly encourage you, and I even challenged her.
And I can encourage you guys who maybe are feeling like I was feeling, like, what? That's ridiculous. That's impossible. My relationship with Paul was the purest relationship that I had ever had.
Well, communication is key in any relationship, so that's good that they talk to each other. But the led down sexual paths and that kind of stuff, you shouldn't mandate whether or not someone can or can't do those kind of things, whether or not, if they want to or not. If someone, generally, if two people wanted to have an intimate relation in that kind of way, preventing them from doing it because of religion is probably not the best way to show that you are accepting of people, I guess, is what I'm trying to say in this situation.
It was the happiest relationship that I had ever had. God was so involved, and it was just such a fresh of breath air. What? It was such a breath of fresh air dating him. God created these rules, these boundaries of waiting until marriage for a very specific reason.
He wants your sex life, your physical intimacy to be so awesome. Yeah. And pure.
It's not always easy, but it's worth it.
So after we had the texting conversation, we actually sat down and wrote them out.
We sent each other our expectations of physical boundaries, and then it gave us just this eye-opening awareness of, oh, he thinks that we're not gonna do this, but I'm thinking, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, write them out so that you can see oh wow, we're kind of missing each other here, and you can talk through it and get on the same page.
Well, I don't know where to go from that, because I don't know if writing it out is necessary. I mean, there's nothing wrong with doing it, and I won't fault you for it, because that might save a little bit of heartache in the future. But again, what I want to stress is that no matter what your beliefs are in that situation, you need to understand that other people have a different understanding of how relationships should work, and you shouldn't be angry if people don't have that same understanding or interpretation and then they walk away because of that difference. Don't be angry about that, and definitely don't attack someone for that. Was the main point that I'm trying to make with this video, which they're not directly attacking them for doing that, but they're basically, is dog whistling the correct term? Probably not, because that's more like discriminatory language. But they're making offhanded remarks that give very much a hateful vibe to people who don't do this kind of situation. And yeah, that's basically what I'm trying to say here. Hopefully that makes sense.
And listen, you guys, I really, really encourage you. It's not going to be super easy, but if your, expectations and standards are lower than your significant others, go with the one who has the stronger standards.
Alright, so I'm by no means an expert on relationships, and I don't think anyone is. So just to state that before I get too far in the statement. But I think a good way to have a long, healthy relationship is compromise. Now, with me saying that, I'm not saying that someone should go all the way to extremely intimate relationship situations like having sex, where it falls under the compromise that I'm referring to, because that's something someone should only do when they're ready for it, because then there's lasting harm that can occur. But your significant other can't decide when that is the case, and a random Christian YouTuber definitely can't. And what's more than for sure is that a holy book would have a holy religious biblical or Quran or whatever book you want to insert here has no bearings on whether or not you are ready. Well, unless it's like a scientific book and you're like 12 and it's against the law, but that's a separate thing. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is public displays of affection like holding hand and kissing. I think generally that's something that partners can communicate on what they're comfortable with. So what should be commented on is what is, like, you should have your, like, each person should have what their expectations are in the relationship, and instead of going with whoever's are stricter, what you should do is go and decide what is a good intermediate point between these two. Um, between these two, I'm having troubles articulating this. Philosophies on how a relationship could go, because that's the best way to have a healthy relationship, is by communicating with your partner on how you want that relationship to go.
Interesting, I like that.
What is the harm in that? There is none. Suck it up and step it up. I would encourage you guys who say that you need physical intimacy to feel loved to, one, just accept the challenge, accept this season.
Oh, she's turning it into a challenge. Everyone loves a good challenge.
Accept this season of not getting that physical intimacy as just a time where God is trying to teach you things. God's trying to show you his love in other ways through this person.
I can step it up and show her that I appreciate her in other ways so that she doesn't feel like my boyfriend doesn't love me, doesn't want to touch me, doesn't want to kiss me. Like, of course I wanted to kiss her. Write her little notes. Tell her that she means a lot to you, especially as the relationship progressed. There's nothing wrong with that. So Morgan, we wrote out our boundaries.
Yes, there are other ways of showing affection towards your significant other than having intimate relations, and where they're saying intimate is like hand holding and kissing, which is a little bit farther behind where a lot of other people use the term intimate. But I agree, there's other ways you can show that you care for someone than just hugging and kissing and holding hands and that kind of thing. But also, you can't say that hugging, kissing, and holding hands is bad for a relationship, because it's not. It's part of having a relationship, and you don't need to have a relationship with that, and you can wait till marriage to hold someone's hand if you want to. But it doesn't have to be that way, and you're choosing it, and you can't force that on other people, because that's not okay. You shouldn't be able to force that kind of stuff on anyone, really. I mean, like I did just say, if in the last little segment, you should be able to decide as a couple what your boundaries are as a couple, and you shouldn't just go with what is the strictest, because you need to be able to communicate, like, you need to be able to function as a group. And if one person feels very unappreciated because of those rules, that's something you might need to change, because you need to accommodate to your significant other's needs to some extent. And again, I'm not suggesting all the way if you're not ready for that, because that's not required. For a relationship, that's something where everyone needs to be 100% on board if you're going to do it. But with like hand holding and kissing, if it's like a safe area, there's nothing wrong with that, and the other partner wants to be able to do that, and like you can set up your own boundaries without making the other member of your relationship feel uncared for, but you should also keep their wants in mind when you have a relationship with them. Don't just choose whoever has the strictest relationship, because that's kind of gives all the power to that one person with that strict relationship in a way, because they decide when the couple is ready for everything, and that's not always the best thing, I guess, is what I'm trying to say in a very poor attitude, and some people might object to what I'm saying, but let's let them continue.
We got very specific. Let's just go ahead and share with them, to the best of what we can remember, what we wrote out.
I kind of put it in Paul's ball court for like when he wanted to hold my hand, for hugging and stuff. I think very quickly Paul allowed me to give him a full frontal hug.
She needed to get it out of her system.
Yeah, I was like, just give me a hug! Kissing, Paul said he didn't want to kiss me until he had my parents' permission to marry me.
That was tough to stick to that, but like Morgan was saying, challenging you guys, like take it as a challenge.
He did kiss me on the cheek, and I would kiss him on the cheek. You can only get so passionate kissing one on the cheek.
That's true. If you guys want to kiss on the cheek, you decide I'm going to kiss on the lips. It might start as a peck, but it really quickly turns to...
like within the same time that you're kissing on the...
starts like this, and then... and then
Okay.
It does.
Wow.
You think that, okay, a front hug is just a front hug, and guys, like, there's nothing wrong with a front hug, okay?
There's nothing wrong with any of this stuff in the right context.
In the right context, at the right time. You go in for front hugs, and when it's with someone that you care about and you really like, and your emotions are becoming more and more stirred up, the front hug that starts is
Come on,
just...
guys, let's not be dumb about this. Your boobs are pressed up against his chest.
Well, and especially
You're
when the...
feeling each other's bodies.
Yeah, when the...
Well, Paul just got really uncomfortable, but again, what I'm saying is you gotta find medium ground. There's nothing wrong with kissing. There's nothing wrong with front hugs. In a romantic context, as long as both partners are ready for that, and which that's some people might see as a contradiction to what I'm saying, what I've been saying back and forth, but really it's what I'm trying to say is there's more nuance to, oh, you can't do this till this point, and you can't do that till that time because of this, and this, and that's the problem with what they're saying here, and what I'm trying to get at, if you guys can understand.
That was wow, you got on me for being vivid. But yeah, I mean, the front hug, it starts as a something brief, and they end up lasting longer, and then the guy ends up picking the girl up and holding her, and then the front hug just lasts for 5 minutes. Stuff doesn't just stop, it leads somewhere. God has designed us like this, intrigue, and the physical stuff, that's good, but it's good in the right context.
Yes, the slippery slope argument when it comes to relationship. The most annoying argument someone can bring up when talking about the situation, and the easiest way to disprove it is, how many hugs have you had with people and it's turned into more intimate relationships? I have not, without you consenting in a more way. I've never had a 5-minute hug with anyone. Okay, scratch that. I had one with my grandpa when his brother died. But besides that, I have never had a hug like that, and I don't know where it's coming from. And what experiences they've had where that's happened, because I kind of want to see that, because I'd be down for a 5-minute hug with anybody. Well, that I'm not related to in this kind of context.
And don't you dare say, God doesn't care if I'm hugging people, if I'm making out with people. He absolutely cares if it is, one, hurting your heart, the purity of your heart, and two, if it is causing temptation in your mind or your significant other's mind. He cares about that stuff, you guys. He cares about all the little things. He really does.
The Bible says God cares about the details of our lives, and it also says don't give Satan a foothold.
We made a rule, hands had to stay above the butts, and...
Yes, hands above the butt, below the... So we really only had...
You can only touch my belly button.
4 or 5 inches. And guys, can we just go ahead and say we're not coming at this from a holier than thou? Because...
Well, if you're not coming from the holier than thou, why are you explaining all of the rules that you've ever had and then actively saying why if you don't do this, then you're disappointing God? Because that sounds a lot like a holier than thou argument. And this video is going to be like more than 35 minutes long. We're 26 minutes in. It's going to be insane. I'm really sorry about this. This will be a long one. No one's going to actually watch it. But I'm doing it anyway because this is important stuff, you guys. What they're saying is not... Well, I don't know. I don't know how to phrase. I'm having trouble talking for some reason. But basically what I'm trying to argue is do what you're comfortable with. If you and your partner aren't comfortable with the same things, communicate why each person has those different spots, and then make compromises. And I don't see there's anything wrong with that. Others might, but as like the 7th or 8th time I've said it, just communication is the best way to have a relationship.
I'll be honest with you guys, looking back, there are some things that I would have done differently and been even stricter on. You may disagree. I felt like we did start kissing too early. Once we started kissing, it did get passionate and we weren't married. So that's just being real. I would say, like, in the ideal, wait to kiss till you're married. Like, really start kissing. Obviously, I'm really glad that we waited on kissing until we were that serious, till I asked your dad.
Yes, the wait to kiss until marriage statement. You can do that if you want to. I don't see why you would want to, because at the very least you gotta have some kind of experience with your partner before you get to that point. At least based on my understanding. Like, in the Bible, I think they said something about how God does care about that stuff, and well, God doesn't exist, so that doesn't matter. You've held your relationships that way. But why would he care? Because he's an immortal being where our lives affect him so minusculely. If he did care, that would be extremely surprising, and I'd be a little confused on why.
We can kiss now and feel totally pure. But guys, I'm not gonna put that on you and say, no, guys, do not kiss. Some people are gonna have more self-control than others, but going back to Morgan's point, you're probably not as strong as you think you are, and we're just giving our advice, our wisdom.
And why not play it safer rather than be sorry later?
Guys, we encourage and admonish you to be a light for your peers, because a lot of our peers, even in the Christian circles, they're not living holy lives unto the Lord. Be that example.
Well, that sounds like a no true Scotsman fallacy, because I'm sure there are Christians that would be angry about how your shirt isn't buttoned to the top button, and how Morgan doesn't have her hair covered completely in the presence of someone other than you, and they consider videos included in that. So, why is your vision of purity based on that book better than any other? Because you're not the most strict, you're pretty close, but for Christians, you're not the most strict, you're certainly not the most open, and how can you tell what interpretation is correct? So, really, it's just your understanding, but you're passing it off as immortal God's wisdom, which doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it's okay if you look different from the world. We are not called to live of the world. We're called to live in the world, but not be of the world. And know that you're not alone. First of all, you can just look back on our comments.
You're not alone. You're not alone.
You can just look back in the comments of our videos and see how ridiculous people think we are.
Well, and you can get encouragement in the comment section, because even though there's the haters, there's a lot of you guys that are writing in the comments saying amen, like I'm dating right now and we're doing that and it's so worth it. So guys, comment below and let us know, first off, what you thought of this video. It's an open discussion. If you guys disagree, let us know why. But we'd also invite you guys to comment and encourage people that might be in the dating phase and realizing, wow, it's hard keeping these boundaries. Encourage each other. Let them know that they're not alone. Give them some tips and advice.
And with that, I'm going to be ending my video. I did cut off a little bit at the end, but that was mostly them asking for likes and that kind of stuff, which there's nothing wrong with. I don't tend to do that just because I don't get enough views, where if I get one like, I'm surprised, because I only have 15 subscribers. Thank you all, though. Only is a very, I'm surprised I've gotten this far in, the 2 weeks that I've been doing this, and I thank you all who have subscribed. Something I would like to say, though. So, in my last, 2 videos ago, I made a post that I was going to make I'm going to read the Bible, aloud on YouTube, and for 10 minutes each, and then I'm gonna post that. I posted the first one, Genesis 1 and 2, but I'm gonna actually discontinue that series because it does absolutely poorly. Last I checked, it only had 1 view, and it's not fair to you guys if you guys don't want to watch any of that for me to make content on that sort of thing. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm the Roman Atheist. Out.